guys, welcome to another car review, and this time we're reviewing a very, very special car, the 2015 Alfa Romeo 4C. Nice downshift on the auto. And since we're sitting at the light right now, might as well try the launch control. Okay, left foot on the brake, right on the gas. This car is a hoot. That's crazy fun. Now, one of the first things that I notice is the handling. It's very direct. The steering is actually manual. It is not power steering, and there's a reason behind that. It's because this car was pretty much designed to be a driver's car, and you feel it in everything, including your butt, because I'm in these seats and they're very, very confining. But they hold you in place pretty darn good, and these brakes are awesome as well. And that transmission just downshifts like a supercar would. And for a 4, this sounds absolutely phenomenal. Turn here. Oh yes! And that turbo sound is just perfect. I love it. I love the downshift. It's absolutely awesome. It gives the little flip. That is just so much fun. Totally see why people buy this car. Now, the car itself is a very supercar-like construction. It is a carbon fiber tub with a frame, and it's kind of reminiscent of, and this is of course a comparison that people don't like to make and probably never have, with a DeLorean. Of course, that wasn't a carbon fiber tub, but it was kind of the same kind of construction, and this car also punches way above its weight, unlike the DeLorean, unfortunately, because they had a wrong engine choice. The engine in this car is a 1.75 liter engine, or a 1742cc engine, and it makes 237 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. And because the car doesn't weigh as much, it's under 2,500 pounds, it likes to scoot, as you could already see earlier on in the review. It just moves. Now, you see the carbon fiber come back pretty much everywhere. It is on the mirror caps, it is on the gauge cluster over here, and obviously when you get into the car, you see that carbon fiber tub, and even when you look at the front wheel well, you kind of have to turn the wheels, you see it as well. It is just such an awesome thing to see on a car like this. This is pretty much only reserved for Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. You don't get that on just a run-of-the-mill car. Now, I do have to tell you right away, I call it a run-of-the-mill car, but it's still $60,000, $70,000 when you get it new. So it's not quite inexpensive, and I'm kind of surprised why Alfa Romeo brought this particular car over versus like something like the Mito or something like that. Just wants to rev to the moon, this thing. See, in this dynamic mode that I'm in, it likes to shift right between 3,000 and 4,000 RPM. And the funny thing is that most of the time it actually likes to stay in that gear. Let me go to 60 here real quick. We are at around 60 miles an hour, 2,100 RPM, and maybe around that. That is not too bad, but you can definitely hear that exhaust. Now, there's a couple of exhaust options that you have. This is the launch edition, so it came with the more louder exhaust. But it sounds glorious. Now, this is definitely one of the better sounding 4s that I've ever heard, and it's a pretty big step up even from the most affordable 4-banger that sounds absolutely awesome, the 500 Abarth. I'll take the opportunity to pretty much talk about the exterior styling. When I first rolled up to this car, I immediately fell in love with it. This is just the perfect styling for an Alfa Romeo. When you talk about the exterior styling, you also have to talk about the interior styling, and it's kind of hit or miss. If you're a fan of purpose, this is your car. If you're a fan of awesome frills and perfect leather and all that stuff, then not as much. But personally, I like the minimalistic thing. I don't really like to have a ton of controls everywhere. I just want to be able to drive a car, and this is definitely one of those cars that does that perfectly. And the dashboard has all the information on it in just a small screen, so I like that a lot. I have to slow down here, a bunch of traffic. Now the visibility out the sides is actually pretty good, but the visibility out the back, not so much, but that's to be expected. Rear engine car, small little window. That's why you have your rear view mirrors. You just have to be conscious of the fact that you won't be able to see out back as well as you can in a regular car. Ladies and gentlemen, it was the race launch, which pretty much means that it launches at a full $6,000 and it just flat out moves. And you think, oh, you got no control? Guess what? No problem whatsoever. It just went straight as an arrow. It gripped. Not really a lot of tire slippage either, so these Pirelli P0s are pretty darn good. Man, it just puts a smile on your face, something like that. That stuff all the time in this car, man. That race mode is absolutely insane, that launch. Now the 0 to 60 time should be about 4.5 seconds, but they say in that race mode it should be 4.2. Now obviously I didn't have any way to calculate that, but I believe it. It puts you in your seat. That is absolutely amazing. Now let's talk about practicality. Is there any practical value to this car? Well, no, not really. The trunk space is, well, there's an entire engine in the way, so that's what you get. You get an itty little trunk space. So if you want to go to the grocery store, you better not have to get a lot of food, because there's not a lot of food that's going to fit in this car. There's a positive thing though, for someone like me that needs to lose just a little bit of weight. That means you're going to have to let go of the big old 2-liter bottles of Dr. Pepper. So I kind of see that as a win-win. This is definitely not something that you would use as a primary car though. This is definitely something that you would want as a secondary car because of the practicality issue. And you know, you can only take 2 people in it, which means in my case I got a family. That will be an issue. The owner, however, uses it as a primary, but he doesn't really have all the attachments yet that come with the family, so live the life, dude. It won't last. This dual clutch transmission is so nice. You can just drive it as is, or take over control, downshift. And it just moves. It moves like a boss. Now a lot of people are probably going to say, well, Dutch Texan, the car weighs 2,500 pounds, so it's a little lighter in Europe, by the way, because of the crash deals that need to be installed here in the United States. You can get a Miata which weighs less, yeah, but the Miata, A, doesn't have the engine in the back, so you don't get all that weight on the back, which gives you a ton of traction. B, it's not fast at all. And C, well, it's not Italian. This is an Italian beauty. This can hold its own looks-wise with supercars, and the performance figures, they're pretty darn nice as well. So as a final conclusion, if you use this car as a secondary driver, this would be completely fine. The price tag, yes, okay, it's a little bit on the upside. You could get a ton of car for $60,000, $70,000, but they're not gonna be quite as awesome as this. And of course, we're gonna have to do this. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this review. Hold up. Man. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this review. Logan, thank you so much for letting me drive your car. It's been an absolute blast. This 4C is definitely one of the most interesting cars I've driven, well, pretty much ever. Such a nice handling car, great power, great stopping, absolutely awesome. You guys take care and see you on the flip side. Good stuff. Getting out is all thing. But it fits you so well though, so it's worth it.